You are your sister's keeper.
She's almost 40.
40 is the new 30.
Marry that nice guy from my church group. He's a virgin.
That's weird you know that.
How you doing today, Julia?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Admittedly, I've been a big fan of your works, going back to 10 Things I Hate About You days, and everything you've done since has just been an absolute treat to watch. I think that Chosen Family is such a cozy little rom-com. What about it really spoke your interest to want to be a part of it? Was it Heather coming to talk to you? Was it your character? What was it?
It was everything. It was all the above. I was really excited that Heather was directing it, and I wanted to be a part of that. Her script was really, really good. It was very funny and made me laugh out loud. And I found the character too, Cleo, I think I've more and more started gravitating towards roles where you get to act out things on screen that you can't really do in real life. And so as irreverent and I don't want to say bratty, but as irreverent and sort of unapologetically demanding attention and acting out as Cleo is, it was cool, I want to do that because I'm not allowed to do that in real life.
I love that. I mean, it's interesting how film can really be a sort of release for some people so how did you pull from your own life? I'm curious, since you mentioned, not getting to do some things in real life for Cleo. I mean,
there were things that I don't relate to, but I think what I leaned into and what Heather let me lean into is that Cleo says all the things that people might be thinking that we're not allowed to say. She kind of cuts through the bullshit. What I like about her, and in many ways she's kind of irredeemable or insufferable, but what I like about her is that she calls out the rest of the family on their sort of passive aggressive politeness. She tells the truth and she breaks it down like it is. It's not in the nicest way or the most palatable way, but that's what makes it funny.
It does. And it also, in my opinion, I think she's a somewhat likable character in that, I like someone who can just cut straight to it. So Cleo works for me in that sense. So what was it then like developing the sort of sisterly rapport with Heather, since so much of your story in the film is directly tied to her more so than your character's parents?
It was easy. I mean, Heather made it really easy. She made work really fun every day. She puts everybody at ease. She was very open about how much this was inspired by her own life or her own family. And I think because we have similar experiences of just being actresses for, in this industry for a while, it was very easy to feel welcome on her set. And, she's a very kind director too. She has a clear vision, but she makes it feel very collaborative. So that naturally, that works well with me. It puts me at ease. So it was kind of effortless.
I love that. So did you get to improvise a lot during your scenes with her? Because when I spoke with Thomas the other day, he was mentioning how he got to improvise a little bit here and there.
Well, Thomas Lennon is improv king, so of course he gets to improvise. What other gems is he going to throw out? You'd be foolish not to let him, do his thing. But I did improvise a little bit, and Heather was very, despite the fact that she wrote the script and she wrote a really good script, I felt like I just had to service that. But she kind of let me have at it, and there were a couple of lines that I didn't think I would say stuff, and I didn't think of by any means it would end up in the final cut. There were some lines that I think she preserved, like in the alleyway when she catches me trying to buy drugs. I think I said something like, "That was my sponsor, dumbass," or something like that. That was a Julia Stiles original, but the rest of it was, she wrote a really good script.
I loved that line, and that it really did punctuate that moment. But yes, I'm glad that you were able to find a good balance between them. And so, speaking of her script, we see, I don't want to give spoilers away, but there is quite a flip towards the dramatic side near the latter half of the film as we learn sort of more about their past. What was it like, making that flip after sort of being this, like we were saying before, breezy comedy up till that point?
I didn't even realize until we were actually filming the scene how much of a turn that scene was, where Heather's character is trying to take Cleo back to rehab, and I'm resisting going, and she kind of darts away from the car and starts running off into a playground. which is a really interesting setting too, because then stuff about their past and their childhood comes up. But I didn't, I was so focused on the fun comedic moments that I think by the time we got to that scene, I was like, oh, wait a minute. When I think about what I'm saying, like, this is pretty, and Heather was very emotional in that scene too. So it really made me focus differently, I think.
So do you find that when you have a really heavy scene like that, it's easier for you to sort of lean into the emotion of another actor in that kind of scene? Or do you find your own emotion for your character when you're in those scenes?
It's hard, I think, because a lot of it's hard to, I'd like to say that it's usually interacting with the other actor, and your scene partner or whatever, but it's really hard because in film, everything's so chopped up and you do one side of coverage and then you turn the camera around. There's a lot of waiting in between. But I would say in this situation, what I saw in Heather kind of grounded me and made me focus in on, like, oh, that's the tone that she's trying to set in this scene. Yeah. And I think I was also looking for, in that particular scene, it occurred to me, I was like, oh, this explains so much about the character, that it's important to make it a moment.
Well, it's a moment that really lands, so kudos to both you and Heather on that. I did also want to talk about Cleo's look, because I love how she still has that kind of 90s grunge look to her. And again, in talking with Thomas, he mentioned how sometimes the costumes were even just everybody's own wardrobe brought to the set because it was a smaller production. What can you tell me about sort of putting together Cleo's look for the movie?
A couple things. It was a very low budget production, so yes, we were supposed to bring some of our own clothes. I don't dress like Cleo, so I didn't have anything to offer. But yeah, I think the idea with her costume was that she's still sort of stuck in the past. And then the other thing was that I was, I think, 3 months pregnant. I don't know. I was very early pregnant, because by the time I'd signed on to the movie years before, and with independent films, it takes a while to get everything financed and get everybody's schedules in order. Surprise! I found out I was pregnant, and we had to hide it, So there's like bags and fanny packs that I'm kind of putting over my stomach to keep that a secret.
Well, it worked, because I didn't notice it at all. But I still love that grunge look. I mean, I often wear those same kind of clothes, and I must be stuck in the past too. So I do like tights under shorts, I gotta say. I think that was probably my favorite throwback. I don't know. There you go. I mean, hey, it's, there's so many great throwback looks. You got to enjoy some of them still. So what is one thing you're really looking forward to people getting to take away from this film when it comes out, I think in a week?
Oh, I mean, I think it's just like a really easy movie to watch. There's really silly moments that I think we just need now. We just need that release of, like, I can laugh and not worry about, what's going on in real life. I think, again, it's also very relatable. I think that even if you come from a very functional family, there are bits of these heightened characters that you might find familiar.
I certainly had a couple relatable moments from that film, so I think many people will find that as well. Before I let you go, I did also want to ask really quickly, aside from the film, I'm a big fan of the Bourne franchise. I'm still heartbroken that Nikki's gone after Jason Bourne, but especially now that Matt's talks for another one, and I'm curious if they somehow magically found a way to bring Nikki back. Would you be open to coming back to that franchise?
I just had deja vu, because I feel like I've been having this conversation for the past 20 years. And this was the conversation that happened before each previous version. Like, I'm like, what? I mean, it would have to be like some sort of prequel thingy. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm so happy to have been a part of that franchise. And it was like the span of most of my adult life. So I was very lucky to get to travel the world and be a part of a cool action movie. Very grateful.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed they find a way, just because I did really always enjoy seeing Nikki in that franchise. But in the meantime, I look forward to getting the word out about Chosen Family. I think a lot of people are going to really love it. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, Julia. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yoga sucks. Punchalates is the new trend.